morning. Welcome to the Solution Finders. Today I'm here with Cindy. She's a 20th generation shaman and she teaches Reiki to children. Thank you very much, Cindy, for being here.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. That's very kind to see you again.
Yeah, and then actually we met in 2019, so
Oh,
and
yeah.
we know each other for a few years.
It was interesting how we met. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, I loved it because it was like a business networking for women on I think on Women's Day,
Yeah.
and I think I saw you on the stage and you presented yourself as a Reiki healer, and um, and then I came to you after that to talk to you, and I just said my hands become hot when I meditate, and you told me. You're a healer.
It's so funny. I even can't remember what I said, but yes, now I do remember. Yeah, yes, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I said, oh, what do I do with that? You said,
Yeah.
well, explore it if you want.
Yeah. And that's what you did. Yeah.
Yes.
No, oh my God, it's already 2024. Yeah, we met a while ago now. That's good. Before lockdown. It's like the before and after.
Yeah. And we got some interaction during lockdown, and I participated some of your healings on. I received some healing from you on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, that was nice. Yes.
That was a nice thing you did, like you were offering healing.
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, it was interesting because I remember, I will never forget. It was just, I think, before Mother's Day that we had to lock down or be at home. And I heard my guide, okay, you have to set up. And I was really quick. I set it up quickly, healing, online healing sessions. It was nice. Yeah. I'm glad we had that because I think we needed it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a moment of stress for everybody.
It's interesting because in all that, that's how my teaching life, I would say, started. Because my guy did that so I could start teaching people.
And actually now you teach children, you go to schools.
Yes. It was I started doing that in 2022 or 21. Yeah, I was sleeping. That's where I usually got my guidance from. I woke up in the middle of the night and I thought, okay, it was, and usually when I have guidance, which is very funny when I think about it now, I speak it out loud. So it's good I don't wake up my partner. But I just like, okay, I need to run after school club for kids. I went back to bed. And then I got up and I straight away, I emailed the school of my children's school and they said yes. And they were more excited than me, actually. I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to do this. Oh my God. And then actually they called me back and they were so excited because schools really need mindfulness program, especially after the lockdown. It was some kids were really damaged. I had mother calling me and a lot of anxiety because of the lockdown. So yeah, and I'm just enjoying it. Yeah. So I teach Reiki, meditation, mindfulness all together. And it's from 6 to yeah, reception to year 6.
That's great because they need some tool to
Yeah.
cope with their anxiety, with whatever big emotions they have.
Yeah, and it's hard, for I had myself, my son, who was very emotional, and then it's funny because he's very boyish. It's a proper boy. I mean, when I say that, he's like, oh, mommy, girls are yucky. I love boys. Okay. But oh my God, the last couple of years become so um emotional, so emotional. So at first, I really didn't know how to handle it. And so I journey with my guides and they gave me some tools to how to work with him. But still, I had, because my tools are spiritual, most of them, and he's going to take it. But sometimes, and I think for all children is the same, it's good to get some help outside as well. So I remember one day I was in my kitchen, I was thinking, okay, I need to go for help. And at school, a wonderful lady who helped children. She's at school every day for them. So I just spoke to her, and Percy had a few sessions, and he needed it really. And I'm glad that we work together because she knows what I do. So she used some of my words with him as well, and the fact that I teach Reiki as well. So yeah, so it's now it's good. It goes back to those emotional collapse, I would say. Sometimes because it's proper collapse, he cries like in the middle of the night. So I have to get up and go see him. But we just have to go back, ground ourselves. He understands really well now, so he knows how to do it himself. Because Reiki for kids is, like you said, tools, but the most important is for them to remember when to use them. And it's difficult because some of the parents that don't know anything about Reiki, but the beautiful thing is that the children going to teach them and they're going to practice on their parents. So, and I had some parents coming to me saying, I really don't know how you do it, but I felt the energy. So I did it. It was amazing. And kids are not very patient. So they're going to do it 5 minutes on mommy, and they did not, 5 minutes big, but just a little time. And then they go. But it's enough, it's enough because what I want them is to practice, practice, practice. So hopefully, I would like to have them online with me, open a portal where they would come and go. They would know that this day of the week there's a portal, 2 hours portal, for example, and they can come and go and just have that session with me. It would be groups, and that's my idea of the next step, what I want to do, because I can't go to all schools, and we never know what's gonna come in the future. So I think it'd be nice to have that just in case.
Yeah, and actually it looks something that can be done practically by schools. Like they can just put all the kids, all the group in a class. They can even have maybe all the same screen or different
Yeah,
screens.
yeah. But you see, that's the thing is my idea. But the thing is, you have to find a school that is very open. I'm lucky my school, my local school, it's open because I really understand. They have yoga classes, they have many things, a lot of sessions with the children, a lot of one-to-one. But it would be nice. You see, for example, see in Japan, they have 5 minute meditation before the start of the class, no matter what. And I wish we could do this in UK. But we're not far. I'm sure. I'm very optimistic that it's going to move forward, and hopefully also I can see my idea of the future is those 5 minute meditation before any classes, or 5 minute of Reiki where the teacher will know Reiki. And that'd be amazing because there's two things about it. It will help the children, but also the bonding between the children and the teacher because they have this in common. So let's imagine a room full of children like coming from home. You sit 5 minutes, and the teacher, all of them, are sitting in a Reiki energy. Imagine how you start your day. It's amazing. So I used to do this with my children before they go to school. Now they have different schedules, so it's more difficult. But we just sit at a table or in their bedroom. I used to do that. We do 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, the three of us, or when they come back from school. But we don't do this much now. I just do once a week before bedtime, Reiki sessions. I love it. So just absolutely love it. And sometimes, is I have a little hurt, a bit sadness during the day. They just come home and say, Mommy, can I have a bit of Reiki, please? And, they become a bit lazy because they know they can do it themselves, but they love receiving from me. So I don't mind doing it.
Yeah, that's good because it's part of your relationship. It's part of your comfort by having that healing from you. And
We call, even with the students, they have a Reiki hug before they leave the class. So we call it Reiki, a Reiki club. How do they call it? Hug. But there's another name they use. Little girl that she started it, and then we decided we do it as each class. So a Reiki hug before you go home, a Reiki hug, Cindy. Oh, Cindy, I have a Reiki hug. So they're fighting for a Reiki hug. So it's nice. It's very nice. So yeah, it's a special bond, and I wish the teacher could do that.
Yeah, and actually that reminds me that I seen there was a study done on meditation for children in Australia. They did it in a school. So they did like all the scientific study and all the practice. So probably they are continuing the practice in that school. And another thing that comes to mind is Goldie Hawn. So like the study was done by like following Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditations. And then I've seen an interview to Goldie Hawn, the actress, and she has a foundation related to meditation, and they have programs with schools. And she said they have it in the UK. I don't remember the name now.
Well, if you found it, I would love to receive the informations because I think
Yeah.
we need to focus more on this than war because
Oh yes.
there wouldn't be any war if we started by the children, educate our children properly with mindfulness.
Yeah, and
So, so yeah, but that's the future, and I can see it's gonna be bright. You know, well, on my point of view, is that it's going to be bright. I know outside when you look at what's happening today, it doesn't look so good. But why I encourage anyone who hear me today is that focus on yourself, not in a selfish way, but in a sense that if you look after yourself well, but I'm not talking physically, of course, physically, but mentally, you can help others more than focusing on what's being shown to you
yeah,
because it's being shown to you. So it doesn't mean that there's nothing good happening around the world as well.
yeah, and actually that's my aim with this podcast, the solution finders, like to show the solutions. And yeah, okay, we can talk about the problem a little bit,
Mhm.
but not focus on it because it's like when you're driving. If you look at the problem, if you look at the accident on the side of the street, you end up driving towards it. You have to look at your
Oh, that's a good analogy. Yeah, that's exactly that. So I'm not saying that I don't acknowledge what's happening in the world. I can see it, I can hear it, although I don't watch the news, but you will hear it by one mother at school or anyone would speak about something that is happening. But my focus can't be there. It can't be there. My focus is where I'm going, I have to do, and I'm very determined and unstoppable about what I want to do in my life. So this is just I don't want to say it would be it's not a little detail. Of course, it's there what's happening, but it's a distraction. If I focus on it, it's a distraction on my path. So I do not want to focus on this. Yeah.
yeah. And then actually, if we focus on those things, um, we just get anxious. And for me, for example, a big period of that, or like a dark night of the soul,
Oh.
was when I was in maternity leave. My first maternity leave. I was watching Mr. Robot. It was a series with like a computer hacker, and there was lots of conspiracies going on, lots of um, stealing and lying um, and I was so anxious I couldn't sleep properly. And it wasn't just that; I was watching all the news as well at the time.
Yeah. No, no. But it's not like I don't criticize that the fact of people doing this because I've done it. But quickly, as soon as I started to work with spiritual, with the energies, basically, I learned that how much I was affected um, from the outside world. And the idea working with the energy is to learn how to separate what it's your energy and other people energy, the collective energy that you will have to feel anyway. But in all that, you need to learn how to keep harmony within yourself, not ignoring others, but prioritizing, sorry, yourself. You have to, your priority in your life. It's you. It's not selfish. It's you. You come here to live a life not a life purpose, but you have things to do, that in the world, today's world, there is too much distraction. The phone, the media, the thing that's going around, there is too much. Our life is too speedy. And I can tell you, I'm from Paris. I am crazy about speed. I want to do everything now very quickly. I work very fast. My kids think that, Mommy, why are you running? You walking? Are you driving? But I changed all that, I've learned now to take
Yeah,
my time. Of course, sometimes I have those moments where I can speak very, very fast and doing things very fast. And then straight away, I feel the energy that pull within me saying, okay, slow down here because you're hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself. And the hardest things with this is to learn how to be patient.
yeah.
Things to come to you. Mm.
Yeah, I noticed that just this morning because it's sunny after a few days of gray sky, and I took my boy to school, and when I was coming back, I was walking quite fast. But
Yeah.
then really there was this nice morning sun on my face. I was like, oh my God, let's just enjoy it and slow down.
Yeah, that's what I do sometimes. Even sometimes, well, now I find myself more and more stopping just to smell the flowers. And believe it or not, when I was younger, I used to tell my mom, "Oh, you and your gardening, you're doing my head in with your flowers. Hated flowers." And now I stop to smell them. It's just the
You
way it is.
changed.
Yeah, 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 becoming more patient and just enjoying life, just smelling the the nice smells around, just breathing, just breathing. It's
Yeah, it's the same I do. Like I have this instinct now. It's like okay, I have to go to the park for a walk, and I spend the most time like I have to look at the flowers, taking some pictures, and really observe the birds,
yeah,
the water.
exactly. No, it's nice. It's nice because we need this, and I think we stopped. Some people have no contact to nature at all. They're not interested. They're in big cities. They don't even think going to the park. And it's a shame. It's a shame because they are missing out of what nature can give us. Of course, they won't see it if they don't try. They would not understand our conversation, basically. They would not understand why we can enjoy so much being in a park. It's because you open yourself to this wonderful world that is within you by connecting with nature.
Yeah,
And it's a shame, yeah. And you see children, no? They love being in the park, not just for playing. They love being there. My youngest son is always asking to go to the park. It's sometimes you don't want to because you are staring them and you're just sitting there and have to stare and just wait and wait. But now I'm fine with it because he just like to go for a walk.
yeah.
So distance, yeah.
Yeah, and I love it with my children. It was especially this summer that we didn't travel anywhere. Uh, but the best moments in the summer were when we were going to the park. And it was like, yeah, I was there, but I wasn't near. I was just observing them. And at home, they will get frustrated because they will play on their tablet. And, with the technology, with the screens, uh, there's stress coming up.
Yeah,
Of very often. And in the park, we will stay there for 3 hours straight. They will find other kids. They
yeah,
will play football. They will explore around. They will go on the play area. They will do so many different things. And will really have their own experience, even some stress if they didn't get along with the other kids sometimes. But sometimes it will be like a magic day, like one day my son just was just looking at a boy who was playing tennis, and he said, I would like to play tennis, and this boy straight away came to him, come and play with me. So it was really in the flow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's interesting you said that. You would just remind me a story with my son who just skateboarding and is kind of not new, but it's still a beginner. And someone older just came to him and he spent the day almost with him on the in that place. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. This is what we need. You know, that's one of the solution is for me more outdoor schooling for the children because they can't stand. Are we supposed to be sitting in rooms for hours, for 6 hours during the day? It's terrible. What are we doing to them? You know?
Yeah, they they are doing something. They are kind of changing a little bit the playtime in my son's school. So it looks like they are kind of having a, because before they would separate the kids for ages, like they would have a break at different times, so they will the mix up. But it looks like now everybody is out at the same time, so they are all the 6 years,
Mm.
and that's good because they are exposed to different ages. We are kind of we were I was segregated with only my year.
Remember this? I think I'm not sure. In France, I don't know. I feel like we were all mixed when I was young.
Okay, that's good.
You know, it's back so long I can't really remember. But that's like you said, your podcast is about solutions, and there's so many things that we can find. But you know, we live in a world that do they really want to focus on the solution, or they just want to scare us?
And that's we got quite a lot of them. But like that's why we don't watch the news because the news
Yeah,
they scare us. They just talk about the bad stuff.
yeah. But there's so much good stuff happening.
Yeah,
So much, so much. I was amazed to see how the new youngsters they would know, for example, how to take a break when they need it out of their career. You know, just go travel for 1 year and come back to the care. Back in the days, people would not think like that. You know, they would just stick to the same job for years and years, not thinking, all right, I need some time for myself. Because where I work, I used to work for Abu Chairways, and I was amazed to see how many young from a university will come just for a year gap and then decide after the working with BA what they would want to do, or just go traveling for 1 year or 2 years and come back. And and I think it's amazing because back in the days we were so in our mind of well, not me, but our parents were we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do that. And now there's more freedom in the youngest generation. So, and so, you know, it's interesting because I was reading somewhere that some people think that the new millenniums or the newest generation are lazy. No, they're not lazy. They decided and they understand really well that their well-being is more important.
yeah,
I don't want to work like everyone else, obviously, because we're not here to spend our life working for someone else who's going to take all the merits and all the shares, all the money, and just give you a basic wages. So I like the new generation actually who's saying, no, I do not want to work hard like my dad or grandparents, but I want to work smart and well-being it has to be part of it.
yeah,
So
yeah. And then and I think maybe we had a similar situation of really questioning that. Like for me, I was working full time in London, corporate job, and then I had my children, and I continued to work full time, and I was even struggling with breastfeeding because like breastfeeding when you like collecting the milk when you are working, and it's a little bit of a struggle, and then you come back and you give the milk to your baby. uh, Breastfeeding is supposed to be that you stay near your baby all the time.
yeah, yeah, no, yeah, you're not supposed to freeze it and defreeze,
Yeah,
and I remember that. But yeah, that's something women has to deal with because I say woman because obviously it affects us.
yeah,
Because you're the one who feel guilty not to be with your baby. You're the one who feel guilty not to be able to work more to bring more money. But and other people don't see it. Men don't see it that way.
Yeah, no, and then for me it was I just did that a bit. I just put I just had my son with a childminder from 6 months old. But I just decided 6 months old because I thought that was what my mom did, and I thought that it was okay. I just repeated what was done before.
Mm.
I changed it a little bit from the nursery to the childminder because the nursery I read that it could be a shock for the baby to be exposed to lots of different people, lots of different carer when the baby is so small.
Mm.
So a childminder is just like one person instead of a team of people in the nursery. But yeah, like now I wouldn't do the
No,
same. I wouldn't separate at 6 months. I wait. I would do all the breastfeeding.
you know, it's interesting what you just said because what you were telling me, just saying, I read somewhere that it's not good for him to have so many people around. But as soon as you said that, I saw my ancestors showing me, most of the tribes,
Mhm.
they would have one baby and the whole village looking after that baby.
Yeah, yeah, that's. But
Oh.
like in a sense, a nursery. It's now we do have that community, but it's all based on money, on jobs,
Mhm.
and so the fact that um, you you give your baby even at 3 months. I think they can start at 3 months old now nursery. At 3 months old, you bring your baby, and as normally they put very young people with the babies, so they could be inexpert on how to treat
I
the
totally
baby,
understand, yes, yeah.
and then you go off to work. And you prepare the milk as well. There you struggle between your work and you pump your milk, and being guilty because you're not with the baby. And then you go back, and
Mm.
your baby was shocked because it was like, oh my God, yesterday was a different woman. Who is this woman who is changing my nappy today?
Yeah.
and yeah, if it was the tribe, you see them every day.
Yeah.
If it's the nursery, you see one today, a different one tomorrow.
Yeah, it's the setting is not ideal, it's true. But unfortunately, not everyone can afford not to. I was lucky. I didn't have to put I put mine, I think my eldest went back maybe, well, when I went back to work, it was 9 months or 10 months. So that was okay. Yeah, actually, maybe later because I remember he didn't even say goodbye to me. He walking around away, so
it
maybe
was
when
already, yeah, it was already.
he was ready. He
You
didn't
know,
say
when you
goodbye.
finish with the milk, so you are like, okay, okay, mommy, you can go a little bit far away. I'm okay.
So I was one of the lucky one who had all this time with the baby, and my second one same. So I didn't have so much guilt when I get went back to work. I really want to go back. I had enough. I had enough of just baby talk and milk everywhere. So yeah,
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 yeah, I did like my job as well, but after going back, I mean, two small children, like I had children like 2 years distance, and they I couldn't do like I didn't enjoy it anymore, and
yeah. Just like you, there's 2 years gap between my two, and I was after the second one, I kind of had enough. Yeah, that's when I left VA after the second one. But I waited 2 more years, 3 or 4 more years after he was born. But yeah, because your priorities are different. They are so much different.
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
and for me, a big thing was um, that I did. So I was doing video editing in the video games industry, and the content that I was editing was content I didn't want my children to play with or to watch
Yeah. Oh yeah.
because in general in the industry there is stuff that is nice, but the majority, the stuff that does the big money, I think still is violence and war. So
Yeah, yeah,
so I didn't want to continue to work in that on that content.
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, I can understand that. Yeah. Oof.
Yeah, I didn't want to put it down. I have two boys, and boys are the ones that are programmed by society to eventually
Wanted to kill.
play those video games and go and wanting to go in the military and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my God, talking about military, my son for a couple of years was obsessed with guns. Oh my God, my days. I didn't know what to do. And I thought, oh, okay, it's just a phase. I just let him have his phase. But it was just about school, friends, loving girls. And I'm like, since when you into girls? Oh, but my friends really like this. And blah, blah. Okay. It was just a phase. Thank God now he's into cars. I'm okay with cars.
Yeah,
So yeah, so it's hard. It's hard because we are bombarded with all the things around and we're trying to be the best parent we can.
yeah, and what we have because we have our own baggage.
Yeah, yeah, with what we have. And talking about baggage, it's time for us to get rid of those baggage so we can be better parents.
Yeah,
But this, some people don't understand that. Yeah.
yeah, no, and then yeah, for example, one thing I did a little video about it because I found myself um, really like when I was I got angry with one of my children and I spanked him, but
Mm,
it was like I was hypnotized into doing it. It was like I just repeated what my mom was doing with me when I was a child,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I was in shock. I was like, what did I just do? What did just happen? Because I felt this anger that I never felt before. It was like it was not mine, but it was taking my body. It was something like that.
Happens to me as well. Yeah, 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 definitely. Definitely. And it's interesting, actually, because you see that the response from the children, our children, is different from the response we had.
Mm,
Because I remember being spanked and not saying anything, not complaining about it, just taking it, you know. But I remember once I spanked mine and it just turned around, wow, you violenting me. Well, basically, he spoke out about what I just did. And the fact that he did that just made me realize I do not want to do this ever again.
yeah,
Simple as that. Because first of all, I was surprised of his reaction, but it's good that he did reacted and said something. And this I noticed is the big difference between the way I was raised and the way I raised them. Now we speak about our feelings, and they taught me that actually to speak about they speak about their feelings. They're very open. That sometimes is too much information because I feel like, do I really want to know that? I'm not sure, but you know. But I was not like that. I was not. I didn't have the space to be able to speak about my feeling, but also about what my mom would make me feel. I was just taking in. You've been spanked and over again, and you just shut your mouth and just you keep it in, you keep it in, you keep it in. But all the energy you keep in and you keep in when you get older and you have your children, bam, it comes back. But they're not like us. Forget about it. They are not like us. And I'm glad because that's why when I see parents around, they think they are the teachers, they are the ones who telling the kids to do this and that. No, actually, your child is teaching you what
yeah,
you need to work on.
yeah, yeah, exactly,
They
exactly.
are teaching you because these children, I'm telling you, they're not gonna let themselves be treated the way you were treated. Definitely not. Mine, there's no way.
Yeah, and mine as well. He started to hit me
Oh,
after that, and it was small at that time. But at a certain point, I realized I said, "So fair enough. I hit him.
he
He's
hit
responding by hitting. And it's kind of normal reaction. Like
him.
I do what you do."
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, And so there were different steps. Now there was first step where I spanked him. Second step where I realized that I was in that anger, so I went away instead of going towards you. So I didn't spank him, and so try to calm myself down to avoid doing it. So eventually, yeah, I stopped spanking, but he started hitting, and at a certain point, and I didn't know how to do that, because then it starts maybe with holding him, restraining him. That it's not very nice.
Yeah.
In the end, my last reaction was it was not a reaction anymore, it was a response. Was that we were walking and he hit me, and just because like he was upset, so he associated that I am upset with her, I'm going to hit her. That fair enough is the same I was doing in the end.
Yeah.
And I just walked away, like I just went a little bit away so he wouldn't touch me when he was hitting me.
Yeah.
So I was just like, no, I'm not taking it. I'm not giving you. I'm not hitting you, and I'm not allowing you to hit me.
Mhm.
That's it. And then he stopped.
Mm.
So yeah, there were different steps, and I kind of trying to find out.
Yeah. No, my mind didn't, luckily, it didn't hit me, but straight away he said, Mommy, you have to say sorry. And obviously, I never did that with my mother. So I looked at him and said, no, oh my God, I was so proud of myself that I would not say sorry. And then it took me some time and I went back and I said, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. And it was the first time that I said, I'm sorry to my child. And I realized now that even if because you can't be perfect. Some days I'm not spanking, but some days I would say something that is not nice. Sometimes because you still have hurts in within you. There's always something to clear. And um, and I just say I'm sorry. Now I say sorry more, not too much because we don't argue too much with my boys, not my younger one anyway. But so yeah, something he taught me to do is say sorry. Yeah, definitely. This was a big thing for us. And he does it all the time if he does something naughty and he just come and say, "Oh, mommy, I'm sorry. Mommy, I'm very, very sorry. I know you were tired, but my oldest one found it hard to say sorry when he hurts, but I just say, listen, I'm not gonna move if you don't say sorry because you want me to say sorry when I do something wrong. You do the same. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So that's it, really. It's a lot of teaching, a lot of learning from the children, a lot.
Yeah, and I remember an essay I wrote in school about my mom when I was 11, and she loved it, and she was carrying it with her, and she would show her friends. But actually, inside that, there was written things like nice things, like I love my mom very much. She takes care of me when I'm not feeling well. But sometimes she gets angry and she hits me.
Ah,
Oh, I wrote that.
yeah. Wow. Today, I don't think you can write that.
Yeah,
You
no,
don't
it was
have
other times. It was other time. And no social services came to our door.
I remember hearing my son one day saying to my partner, I'm going to call social service on you because he's got this bad temper and sometimes you want to go to social service. Well, if you're a child anyway. But yeah, I'm just something the solution really, if we want to focus on the solution, it would be just to understand why your child is reacting in a certain way or not and why he's angry at you because it's just a mirror of what uh, you're giving out. So because children don't are not born, they're not born angry and with so much hate in them. So that become what you teach them.
Yeah,
So, so it's even though you have to fight with the outside world, try to give him what you can really, because he needs foundation. And that's what I like about my Reiki classes, that foundation of teaching them to meditate, how to react to their own feelings, to understand their feelings, and to understand that it's okay not to have a good day. It's okay to be happy when you need to be happy and cry when you need to cry. A good cry, even at my age, sometimes I just cry and it comes up just like just 5 seconds, you cry and then, oh, I needed that. There's
Yeah,
no special reason for it, but you just do what you have to do.
yeah, it's there's a relief in crying.
Yeah, just a relief. Yeah, definitely. And in this world, really, we teach children that they should just keep in. I can still see parents saying, trying to some actually I see it through the children because I don't know the parents, most of them, but I can see through the children the way they behave between them during the class, and it's sad because my son, who's in the class as well, he's my little assistant, would say, oh, look what she's very selfish. Yeah, but what do you think she's like that? You need to look at the bigger picture. And we teach them how to share between them and to acknowledge that someone may have had a bad day. So is they're not here to disturb you or to, it's not a curse, because I know my son sometimes think it's a curse to have a friend that annoys him, but it's just that they are here to teach you something about yourself. So if they're annoying in your life, there is something that maybe you need to try to understand why.
Yeah, yeah, maybe kind of subconsciously you look for that. For example, if you have friends with, and you fight all the time with these friends, there's a part of you, subconscious part of you, that is looking for those fights, that is looking forward for
Yeah.
it in
So,
some way.
so basically, what I'm teaching those children is that they need to know themselves and to understand. Of course, they're too young, some of them. They wouldn't just understand the energies. With the Reiki, they can feel it and understand when they're sad, what's happening to their body. So it's very, very interesting because the children, they are so good at describing the energy. Some of them they see colors, some of them they just feel the waves. The way they describe it is amazing. Sometimes I hear things so funny. At one point in the class, in the course, I teach them how to give Reiki to others. Because first you do yourself. And there's a little girl, she said to me, as soon as I said, okay, you put your hands and you call Reiki to flow through that person. And she said, oh, no, 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 Cindy. But she was kind of a bit teary. Cindy, I do not want to lose my power. So I had to explain again that this it's personal. This is Reiki is will always be there because they are light. They are part of the universe. And I just go through the explanation and she understands that she's just here to facilitate and the analogy that I use is, imagine you're just a straw, you're like a straw and the energy just flows through you going to that person. And then she's like, okay, that's fine, then that's mine, I keep it. I said, yeah, you keep it, it's fine. Oh, sorry, my belly is just like not no, a bit naughty. I haven't eaten anything yet. So I feel like, oh, she's hungry. Yes, she is. Yeah, 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 yeah. So that's why I do love teaching to children. Adults will be more, there's more questions. Kids don't ask questions. They understand that everything is about feeling. Children, they understand this. But adults have been taught to do this action, 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 action. It's just about action, being the best, earning the most. And it's just that, but it's just a mask. It's just not who you are. Who you are is feeling. It's all about feeling.
Yeah, that's what we learned. Like I seen like me, the people around me, we learned to repress our feelings, to to go to work in the environment,
Yeah.
efficient way. So like I get a job, I'm going here, I'm going there. But yeah, like, I was talking with Alessandra yesterday. We recorded an episode, and she was saying, for example, that her father, by working outside the house, didn't have any memory of her and her brother when they were small. Didn't, in a sense, he didn't have, because that what he was in the program. I have this family, I make this family, but I have my job, so I am consumed by the job, and I don't really spend time with my children, and I don't have those memories of me and my children when they were small.
But it's very sad. But yeah, that's most people. You see, most people are like that. It's a choice to
Yeah,
earn a lot of money. It's a choice to have a big house. It's a choice. But you can learn how to, ideally, you would do what? You would follow your know learn about your energy, learn about your feelings, follow your intuitions, go to the job that it's meant for you, and trusting that actually I can work with this, I can make money out of this because I know and I trust my intuitions will guide me where I need to. So I can feed my family and also I can spend time with them while I'm feeding them.
yeah,
I make enough money to feed them. And someone would say to me, "Oh, but no, you can't do that because I think it's an utopia where you are explaining." Well, it's not because we have been not made, but I would say in the society we have been programmed and to think, okay, I have to go get the best job, to get the best money, to buy the best house. But when you do that, do you see your family? Do you have time for them? Because you work hard, hard, hard. What about actually going out there and following my feelings, knowing my understanding my intuition, what is good for me, and if you trust, you will make money out of that.
yeah.
We are not programmed like that. We are not programmed in that sense, in that way.
That's the program for from many movies, and now like the YouTube channels, and for some people the having things like that, having the nice car, having the nice house, having the yacht, really like do the millionaire billionaire life. It's about things. It's not about relationships or family or so. So yeah, the problem then these people, they if they reach that because they really work on that kind of dream, a lot of them are not fulfilled in their life because like it lasts 5 minutes. You go around with your car and then you're alone. You go fast and that's it. 5 minutes later, the excitement is gone, and maybe you have to buy another one now because that one doesn't excite you anymore. But it's never ending.
Yeah, and I have to say that the majority of my clientele that do come to see me and realize that's what I did until something happened, a burnout.
Mhm.
Then you realize I focused on the wrong thing in my life, and now I am here on my own, divorce, with a job that I hate. And what do I do now? It's wonderful to have shiny things, but I can trust me. I like my family. I rather work less and earning less than not seeing them. It's too important for me. And the children that tell you, and I like that. Mommy, it's so nice to have you, and you need to create that bond. And if parents can't do that, you end up with children that misbehave, but are they really misbehaving? Or they're just showing you that something's wrong in the parenting and something is lacking for them to actually grow confident in in their life, you know. So that's why I like to use Reiki because Reiki is a foundation. I give them the tool and then they can work with it. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually that reminds me of that I seen somewhere like a child who is considered spoiled, um, who is kind of complaining, ah, no, I want that, I want that. Actually, I had a period when I was a child where I was like this, and I was told by people, "You are like this. You are spoiled." But there's pain behind this. That's kind of neglect. That's why you become like that.
It is neglect. I see one child in my boy class. Oh my goodness me! When he comes here for a play date, I just don't really want him here because I remember, my son is like he's more mature now, but back in the days he would say, "Oh, but look, mommy, they have this, he has that, he has this, he has that." But I had to explain to him, listen, he had this and that, but how many times? Yeah, do you see him cry because his parents are divorced? How many times did you see him actually sad? He has so much, but that's not enough to fulfill him. So now you understand that. So actually, he's not friend with this boy anymore because he understands that there is no a real friendship. He
Yeah,
was just with him all the time because he has no one. He has no one to fulfill his needs. So So yes, it's not fun because it's more that friendship with material based on that. So it's not interesting. Yeah, it's sad because at first he wanted to help him, but I realized no, my child is not a doormat. Okay, that the parents gonna drop him here and use me as their nanny basically because he would spend his time all the time with my son, and they would not parent him. So we had to put a stop to that. Um, I like Reiki. I teach Reiki to children, but I'm not there to parent them. I'm just there to give them a different approach to what maybe their parents are doing. So it's not about believing, it's just helping them because something that was brought to me recently is that a religion? No, it's not. It's not. It's just something mindful that you can do every day to help yourself. Doesn't matter which religion. Some children think it's a religion because the parent told them. So it's funny.
yeah. There's lots of beliefs and things that we. Um,
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, the belief, I think I leave it for the the parents and the adults because the children, even though they have those beliefs, they're very curious. That's the good thing about children. They are so curious that they would want to find out. And some of the Reiki children I have in the school, sometimes they do it. That's amazing because they do 1 hour with me, but they will use it in the playground. And someone came to me once and said, "Oh, are you the Reiki teacher? This child was like crying, and one of my students did Reiki on them, and it was amazing. So they understand they can use it, and also something that it's amazing with children, they love helping others.
yeah,
They love it. It's like they have this confidence with Reiki that they can bring something to others, and I like that. That's the really nice part. And I was asked if I teach Reiki to adult. This is something that I did for a little bit, and I can't say I don't like it, but I found more fulfillment in teaching children than adults. Because adults, sometimes I feel like they want to learning just to tick a box because I met a lot of people who would just learn this and learn another thing and learn another thing. They just go to workshop and learn and learn and learn, but they don't really practice it. They don't understand. They don't go deeper. And children, they do.
well,
Children, they just ask to. They are so genuine with the energy and genuine with what they're learning. So it's nice.
yeah. I think the children are they are born with the energy and they cannot remember.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because one, they call it the power. Cindy, my power. Oh my God, my power. It's time they see me in the playground picking up my son. Say, oh, I've done a bit of Reiki on my cat. Oh, I've done Reiki on my dog. Oh, I've got a little turtle on my fish. Can I do it on my fish? They are so excited about it. And I remember my first. club, oh my God, I didn't know what to expect. I was a bit nervous, but when we came to the attunement, so when I give them that possibility to do it themselves, rather than me doing it to them, oh my God, that's when the class, the energy switches. And it's amazing because the first few class, you just the first session or second session, you just teach them what's Reiki, so you just speak. But when you start to practice, that's when you see their eyes, they're like, oh my God, this is magic. I've got magic power, and it's amazing. And you don't have that um effect with adult. It's just like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh, I feel good, thank you. Oh, that's it. But kids are more genuinely expressive about Reiki, and I like that. It's that part, that child part of me that I really like, wow, the magic.
Yeah, that's the thing. Adults stop believing in magic, and and then they don't believe that it's possible for them to be happier or to.
Yeah, no, they just see what's in their life right now and they believe it. That's it. That's my life. And I can see my partner. When I attuned my son and my two sons, I attuned my partner as well. Never used it.
uh,
Never, he never used it. And it's a shame because I keep telling him, look, when I'm not here in the evening, you could do this with the boys because he doesn't see the bonding that you create because the boys, children, they love when the parents can connect in a sense. For example, you have children who love, I have a friend, she loves riding horses, and a daughter, they have this passion together. And this is a special bonding between them because they talk about it all the time. This is something that they share between them. So imagine Reiki, when one of the parents is attuned and the child as well, this is a bonding. And it's a shame he doesn't want to use it because he thinks this is pocus pocus and he doesn't believe in energy. He doesn't believe of anything. So, you know, it's a shame because he is lacking this part of parenting and so simple, you know. When there's arguments between the boys or me and the boys, we're gonna use Reiki to to switch the energy, to change it, to bring the balance back. And they understand that very well. How do we bring the balance back, the harmony back into the room, into our relationship? We just sit 5 minutes together and we give Reiki to each other, and the up we up and go again, and you know
that's a beautiful tool. Yeah, beautiful bonding.
yeah, it's I can't say it resolves everything, but a lot, and it's something that belongs to you and your children, which is amazing because through this, through that practice, they open up easily. They will share their feeling with me because if I teach you how to manage your regulate your energy, your feelings, your temper, because my older one had a bad temper, and that's how straight away I thought, okay, I'm going to teach him meditation. And he understood why it was not a punishment, it was something to make him feel kinder to his brother, not having, because the temper he had within him was mine. He had
Mm.
to come from somewhere, and I could see myself in him. So we started meditating together, and that changed our relationship, my relationship with him, but also his one with his brother. Yeah. So it's so important. Is And again, there is no belief that you don't have to believe in anything. That just know that it works. Simple as that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just try from experience in the end. If it works for you, to continue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then after, when you get older, you can, if you want, go into something deeper than and some research and learn more about it. But for children, it's so simple. The energy is just flowing through you, and that's simple.
And
Mm.
it's good. It's very nice to empower them to say like, "Wow, I have this magic. I can help someone else to, or I can help myself to out of sadness and things like that.
Mm.
And it gives them power, really. And sometimes they feel powerless if they have some kind of situation in their life.
Yeah. And like I said, yeah, feel powerless, but they come to me in those classes, and they already have label onto them. Oh yeah, I have anxiety. And I'm thinking, come on,
Um,
you're 7, you're 8, you know that you have anxiety. Who told you that you had anxiety? Oh, my mom, she think I have that. Okay, it's possible, but let's not focus on that. Let's focus on your feelings, and they understand that actually they don't have to be that. You know, I'm not, they are certain, yeah, I have anxiety, so it's normal. Oh, I have ADHD. Oh, I have that. Oh, I have that. Okay, let's focus on, forget the label. Let's not put a label on yourself. Just let learn about Reiki, and then you'll see that you can use that when you feel that anxiety and when you feel anxious, depressed, or you feel something feels you makes you feel you're struggling with your feelings, basically. So you use Reiki just to get the harmony back. And so in the classes, we have different tools, different, I do a lot of drawing, we work with crystals as well. So a lot of different things that make them understand really what is Reiki for and how they can use it outside, because they do it with me once a week, but I want them to be able to be in that situation at home or somewhere where they will remember, they will switch and thinking, I'm going to use Reiki. I'm going to use my power to stop crying and to accept that I can cry, just not being so, because some of the kids, you would say they're so hard on themselves. It's
mm,
as if they were taught at home, I can't be feeling this. I can't be this because my dad is strong, my mother is strong, because we adults show them the strong side of us, but we don't show them that we can cry and we can be actually sad and it's okay to be sad. So,
yeah, yeah. In a sense, that's not strong. It's kind of covering the hurt.
oh yeah, but as a child, you don't know that. So you see your dad so strong. Oh yeah, my dad, he never cries. Oh, well, I wish he could cry your dad because it would make you a bit kinder and nicer towards other people who cry, you know, for example. But yeah, mm.
Yeah. And you are a shaman. How did that come into your life?
Shaman, just like I said, learning from my grandma. You know, it's interesting. Yesterday, someone asked me, "Where did you learn?" Because there's people who give you certification. Well, no, you don't need a certification. If you see, for a long time, I thought, maybe I should go to a class and have a certification so I can prove people. But now I couldn't care less. I realized I don't need that, okay? Because we live in a society where you're going to look for that diploma, that certificate, thinking, okay, she's good. How do you know she's good? I can go anywhere and have a certificate and a diploma. This is not something that you learn in paper. You don't. You need to practice it. You need to be mentored. And I was lucky. For me, is the best person I could have is my great grandma. And believe it or not, she's teaching me through now, even though she passed away a while ago. I'm so connected to her that I learned from her so much on my own with her. Shaman is really a personal journey in the learning. You will never have two shaman the same.
Okay.
That is not possible. Even though we can go to the same class and have a certificate, one could be not feeling anything, not being able to practice and do nothing, and the other one just have it naturally. It's just, someone actually messaged me on LinkedIn, asked me, Cindy, what do you think? I can see that you're a shaman. Do you think this is something you can learn? uh, yes, you learn it, but how and where, it's it's just up to you, you know. And because you will have some people late in their years who would go to classes and become so good at it. Well, it's because they never knew they were shamans deep inside. So it's just I don't, when I look at people, I don't look at the certificate ever. And actually, the more you have, and the less I'm going towards you, because I feel more like you want to prove yourself, and I'd rather have someone that is so humble working with. So I don't think you need certificate for that. So yes, you learn it, but there's different way of learning it. I've learned it from my great grandma. I don't have to prove myself, and that's it. But for a long time, I felt like I had to find something to have the validations. But no, now I truly believe that someone that is good at what it does will attract anyway the people that are coming on their are meant to be in their life, the guest, the I want to say guest, the clients that will be attracted to your light, the collaboration will be attracted to you. Anything that you would attract, it's for you. And it's funny because I said good and bad because you will attract some people who can challenge you,
Yeah.
but through the challenge you can learn so much. So and yeah, someone is challenging me at the moment, offering me a collaboration, and I saw her work and I felt, oh my God, I really like the way she's has spoken and everything. And for just a little moment, I thought, oh God, I don't know if I want to work with her. Am I good enough? Blah, blah. And then I realized, of course I'm good enough. If she signed to me and she wants to collaborate with me, of course, I'm not going to say yes to everyone who wants to collaborate with me. But I really felt like she's good in a way to work with. And don't have to compare myself to her, you know. It's just sometimes you have those little a moment of hesitation, and mine it's mainly about if I can be understood, and because this is not my first language,
Yeah.
English. And I remember for many years working with the spiritual, I did not want to open my mouth. I would just sit and listen to people and just do my healing. But something I've learned with shamanism, a lot of the healing that I do comes through my voice. So because I do chanting and I do a light language, and it comes through my voice. so so I have to speak. So
Yeah.
this is my challenge. I have to speak now. So yeah. And but something like able to speak and talk, I've learned with my ancestral healing and past life regression that actually that's something that comes from my karma, that um that fear of speaking out. So that's the thing that I've done, and I had to work on myself, and now I can talk to you. But and I have a lot of clients who comes to me because they can't express themselves. So I'm thinking, okay, am I attracting those people? Yes, yes, I am.
Because they are like you in a sense, like
Exactly.
the same.
Yeah. Yeah, through the healing that I'm doing with them, I'm also doing the healing for me.
Yeah. And I was in a similar situation because I am from Italy, and so I was speaking Italian all my life, but then I moved to France, and at the beginning it was a struggle to understand and be understood the first few months, and later as well. There was always I think some kind of shame or being self-conscious of having an accent. And
Yeah.
so I did have quite a lot of people who would just say, "Ah, you don't say it like this, you say it like that." Or so,
And you're proud. Oh my God, you're proud. It hurts. It hurts.
yeah, yeah, and you are like, um,
So
you think
conscious.
that people think you're stupid because you can't express yourself, and it's something that really hurt.
Yeah. That's the thing because people assimilate it to intelligence. And sometimes I see it with my children and blah, blah, blah. I say something and they're like, Mommy, you don't say it like that. And they look at me like, are you stupid? I'm like, and then I go to French, I speak in French to them and explaining something. And they look at me like that. I'm like, you see, huh? It makes you feel stupid. I was like, yeah, but actually, it's not, it's got nothing to do with your intelligence. It's just the fact that you have these things to work on yourself to be able to accept that, yes, I have an accent. If someone asks me to repeat, I'm okay with it. And that's it. But because before I couldn't do that. And now I really don't care. I make mistake. I don't care. Even English people do mistakes. So, and then sometimes I correct them.
Yeah, yeah, I did the same because like my grammar was better than a lot of English
Yeah,
colleagues. So I was okay, it's you have to take that apostrophe off and things
I
like that.
know. I know. Yeah, because the way we learn it, it's very from the base, the basic, the
Yeah,
grammar.
the rules. We know the rules.
Yeah, we know
They
they
are
don't know the
French.
rules. They
Mm.
don't know the rules. I had a long argument with my partner. It was funny. I said, "You don't know infinitive? What? You don't know infinitive? What's infinitive? Infinitive?" So I had to explain because the way we learn it in France, our language, we speak about infinitive, adverb, proverbs, and blah blah, but they don't know the terms, you
Yeah.
know. So we have to teach them. Yeah. So that's that thing really. But shamanism is just a word for healer.
Mm.
No? So we all have a bit of that within us. That's why someone asked me, um, can we learn it? Yes, you can learn it, but how deep do you want to do to go with it? Because I'm not gonna say that. Yeah, there's a yeah, I have to say it. There is a responsibility that goes with the label shaman. I am a shaman, so you have to be responsible for what you say, what you do, how you treat people, how you live your life, and I think for me, a good there's no good about shaman, but a good person is someone who lives by example. Yeah, I preach what I live. Yeah. So there's no right or wrong. You just, if you call yourself a shaman, you have to be able to be an example of what you're preaching. So, so yeah, it's a lot of work on you, and it's a non-stop work. You know, there's not. Sometimes I have students who think, oh, and then after this I can do that. Yeah, but actually, yeah, certificate. Okay, I don't give certificates anyway, but it's a continuous work. Continuous work. You learn something, you practice it, and then you go deeper and deeper, and then you by giving yourself the gift of learning about yourself and opening up to the energies, you learn so much about yourself, but also you attract new skills as well. And you found out that you can do this, you can do that. Oh my God, I can speak to the trees. Oh my God, I can speak to the flowers. Oh, I can hear them the messages more clearly. It's just it's another world, honestly. And on all this, you have to remember to stay grounded to the now, because it's wonderful to be in the cloud. Like someone said to me, "Oh yeah, don't believe in your thing. You're always up in your cloud." Well, actually, I like my cloud, but I know how to keep it grounded. That cloud, it's just above the surface.
Yeah, you have a parking space for it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's there, and I can go up on it and stay grounded. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the same for me a little bit. Like when I meditate, like when I want to go on that cloud, it's like I'm going to meditate or I'm going to do this kind of meditation. I'm going to do that, and I tap into that. Tap into that feeling
Yeah.
elevated.
But I don't know if you notice that now it's, well, I guess with experience as why, but it's easier and easier just to tap in. It's for me, it's like I explained to children, Reiki is just a tap. So you have the intention to be, for me, when I go in meditation, I close my eyes and my intention is to switch straight away and I can do it straight away. I remember when I first I started to learn how to meditate and oh my God, it would take forever. You know, I had to do my to-do list and I had to think about this and that before eventually be on the cloud, you know. But now you just close your eyes and the cloud is there. It's just there. So and then you can switch from. It's like switching from one plane to another one, you know. And that's why I like to work with energy. You know, energy is amazing. You need to learn how to handle it. And people would say, yeah, what's the interest in that? The interest in that is to first of all, know my energy, being in a room and know how to protect my energy, but also know how to separate mine from others. So I know, okay, this is not my feeling. This is their fear. They're saying that to me. This is their fear. This is their energy. This is their anger. So I do not want to tap. Don't want to let that touch me.
Yeah.
And it takes time to be able to do that.
That was my struggle, like almost all my life, because I think I was an empath, and I would just take on everything. And it was like I would do thing kind of people pleasing from I find out like a label for it, CPTSD, post traumatic stress disorder, like kind of from childhood. The fact of wanting to fix things for other people because I feel how bad they are feeling. So it's like my feeling, I want to feel better, so I do things for them because it's the same. Like I feel like we are the same.
Yeah.
And maybe if I do something that makes them feel better, I will feel better as well. But actually, that ends up on not knowing what I want and not knowing. And sometimes it can be worse for me because of what's better for them, it's not better for me.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I used to when I was younger, I used to say to people, my feeling. I remember I said to a teacher, actually, a spiritual teacher, that I grew up with that feeling that I was carrying the world
Mm.
on my shoulders. And I had this feeling for a long, long time because I could feel, and also my grandma had this habit of you come back from school and we watch the news. Everyone watch the news, so
Oh,
we it's very important to know what's happening into the world. So, do you think that a 6-year-old or 7, 8-year-old needs to know? No, that don't. Because I have a mother at school who came to me once and asked me, Cindy, I know you're teaching a meditation. I have a problem with this girl, with my daughter. She since the lockdown, feels so much anxiety because of what's happening around the world. And I say, what? What do you mean? She said, yeah, she's the news and she's very worried. Every day she's asking her mom, are we gonna die? Or did it? I said, what on earth? She's 8. What do you put her in front of the TV? She does not need to know what's going on around the world. Because of course, I'm not saying you have to protect your children to know what's happening in the world, but you know, for example, in the schools they have a newsletter for children. So I have a little newspaper that creates and they explain what's happening in the world, but in the children talk,
okay.
the way that children we understand that okay, well, there's a war in Russia, and things like that. But the way they show in the news, imagine an 8-year-old watching on the news people dying. You don't do that to your child. Why would you do that? So I explained to her how to work. I gave her some meditations, and but because the daughter is such an empath, she felt worried for all the people in the world. And at 8 years old, you don't want to be like that. And when I was her age, that's what was done to me. I can say done to me because I had to watch the news every day. And I would go to bed crying, thinking, what am I doing in this world? I don't want to be here. This is the wrong place for me. Why am I here? Yeah, so
Yeah.
just the world that we live in, children needs to be protected. They don't need to see how those silly adults are doing to themselves. They need to be protected from this.
Yeah, yeah,
Unfortunately, yeah.
yeah. So that, yeah,
Mm.
there should be some kind of change in the news. Like there's a system that it's really like programming people into fear, into division.
Yeah, but this is done on purpose, you know, because if you there's division in the world, people can control you easily.
Yeah,
So, and in Reiki, what I teach the children is that actually we all one, we are all the same, we all have the same feelings, we all have the blood that goes through our veins is the same color, whichever skin color we have, we all the same, we all have a heart, we all feel because it's all about feeling. That's really one my classes are really focused on that feelings. And once they understand that, they can bond because they're different ages in my class, and I like that because I can see the year six who will help more the little ones to understand, but the little ones understand very well. So just help them to practice. They like it's I just love it to mix the different ages because they understand it doesn't matter if I'm on in reception or year six, we are connected by Reiki. Reiki is something we share together, and there's no level, there's no difference between us. Of course, I go back to the parents who may want to tell them the something else, but the children are very clever today, you know, they will question their parents, they will challenge their parents. And I see some children explaining to their parents what was Reiki and also telling their mother, Mommy, you know, when you're sad, I can do Reiki on you. It help you feel better, and you know, things like that. So parents starting to ask me, can you teach me as well? So I will have to think about it. I will have to think about it. My next idea maybe would be to teach groups of parents and child so that they learn together.
yeah, that would be good. And it's already good the fact that your students, children, they tell the parents, so there is a learning
Oh yes,
to the
that's all.
children.
And I had a mom coming to me and say, she tried to explain it to me, but I don't really understand. Of course, you're an adult, you don't understand. The child understands it really well. But until she practiced on me, now I know. So I don't know. We'll see. I like to teach the both together, not just the parent, because this is boring. Because I think the way I see it is in the class, if I have the parents, even though I will give them a description and explanation, the child will always have to explain it to the parent. You see what I mean? Because they would understand straight away. They understand straight away. So this is how I see it in the class. There's the bonding straight away, and the child having to show mommy, look, this is what it is. And I like that. I like that because also learning from their children something different.
It's beautiful to because in a sense lots of parents are damaged in some way from some kind of from experience they had.
All damage. It's all damage. You know, I had a lady who said to me, "Oh no, I had a wonderful childhood, all good in my life." And then a couple of years later, she comes back to me and like, "Well, actually, no, I'm divorced now." Oh, blah 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 blah. You know, and on and on. I have so many clients like that, and then to realize that okay, your childhood was not that great, your teenage time was not that great. At school, this happened to you, this and this. You know, you just put it under the rug for years and years until you realize actually that it has affected you.
Yeah, but it was the same for me. I didn't think there was nothing wrong with my life, but then when I started to feel that something was missing or that I was stuck. And little by little, I found out there was an anxiety, that I was in survival all the time. But
Yes.
that's the illusion that you think, yeah, I have, like on paper, I have everything I should have. I have the job, I have the family, I have the house. but I don't feel well.
Exactly. So because we've been taught in a society that you have to have all this,
Mm.
uh, um, but yeah.
Thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me because it's nice to have a conversation, not I had people contacting me and sending me questionnaire and stuff and things like that. I think it's nice to have a podcast where you just have a conversation. So we can actually sometimes deviate from the main thing, but it's okay, It's just like two mothers talking about the solutions to grow a wonderful children.
Yeah, but I think that's important for
Oh,
people
it's so important, so
figure
important.
out.
What is out there, the result that you see into adults is what they've learned from their childhood, from their parents, is the result that we see outside, people fighting and wanting to earn more and wanting the power, because if they've been taught that is the most important in someone's life, they would believe that until they die.
Yeah,
So yeah, yeah. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I
yeah,
don't.
thank you. Thank you for watching or listening to the Solution Finders. Please like, subscribe, and share so we can inform and inspire more people. If you would like to donate to the podcast, the link is in the description below. All donations go towards paying for software, video editing, and production work. Please visit unamarz.com, unamarz.com, for one-to-one sessions with me to reprogram your subconscious mind, for my original origami art and printed products like t-shirts and stationery, for more info about this podcast. If you've made it till this point, please add your favorite emoji in the comments. Have a wonderful day.